The video I'm putting together today is of a mare that came in, which was difficult to catch. I don't really like the term catch. I prefer to talk about fetching because the catching thing kind of puts a predatory thought in your mind from the get-go. So this mare, she's never been abused or treated too harshly. It's just the typical way horses are handled at some of the studs. I'm not criticizing these guys. It's just the way it's been done for the longest time. Is the horse will be cornered to be caught. As a general rule, they are handled mainly when they're getting their feet done, which is not the case with her. She hasn't had her feet done before, but they're getting injections or some kind of handling where things are being done to them. So their only interaction with humans is when something's being done to them and they haven't really had it introduced to them in a way that they understand what's going on. So it's not abuse, it's just a very typical way of handling some forms of the studs here in South Africa, the breeders. So I'm going to go through the first video working on getting her to trust me a little more. And there's a very big difference between having a horse tame and having it catchable in terms of pushing it into a small area and getting a halter on and then doing what you want to it. For me, I wouldn't want to be riding a horse that's not tamed. If I can't walk up to a horse in a massive field and get a halter on it, the likelihood is that horse doesn't trust me. The chances of things going wrong are pretty high. So my plan with this mare, because she is more on the anxious side and she has had issues with being caught, I want to use this opportunity to form another series, very much along the lines of what I did to start with Heart. But this starts a little bit earlier than that. We'll start with Heart. That Frisian mare was not all that easy to catch when she arrived, so we worked on getting her tamed, and we worked on getting her to accept a fly spray and getting her feet done, but that wasn't captured. We only started filming when it got to the part where we started introducing the groundwork, introducing the saddle, and getting her riding. So I'm going to go through with this mare. This video is obviously going to be for free, so you guys can see what I'm talking about in terms of the catching, because it's something that I think I can help you guys with a lot. But the stuff that comes before starting to work on the riding part of things, her introduction to getting sprayed, her introduction to having your feet done, and then we'll get to the saddle stuff with the more anxious horse. By the time we got to the riding part with the big Frisian mare, she was really relaxed and actually took everything in her stride. The reality is that by the time we get there with this mare, she might be that as well. In fact, I don't like escalating to the next stage if a horse isn't calm. So this series is more than likely going to be a little bit longer, because I'm going to film that whole journey of getting her relaxed before we start with the riding aspect. Great guys, for the rest of the video it's going to be me doing a talk over. The wind howls at this time of year in the Drakensberg, so this is just film video and me doing a talk over of how I'm working on it. Thanks guys, cheers. First thing you're going to notice here is that I'm working on catching her on a massive open mountainside. This is about 480 hectares. I don't necessarily start in a round pen, especially considering the logistics of getting a horse into a round pen. This also makes it more practical for you guys. Not everyone that I speak to that has trouble going and fetching a mare or a horse has access to a round pen, and certainly not one that they can just drive the horse to. Now the mare in question is the one on the far right here.
her baby is literally walking within a couple meters of me. Um, and they have got curious. They've been with us for about the stage of this video. I think they've been with us a week, and I let them settle in first. That's just a matter of getting relaxed in the environment before I started working on anything. I'll get back to the round pen thing a little later. Okay, you can see her, she kind of hides behind the baby because obviously baby is a little easier to get to. Now what I'm looking at here is I'm looking at her paying attention to me. So if she gives me relaxed attention, I'll take a step in. I try to keep the pressure from my chest area. Yeah, we move upright, but very much like a predator, forward-facing eyes, kind of a lion pose from our chest, and a horse can take pressure just from us moving at them front on. So I'm coming in side on, she looks at me, I take off pressure. Now I'm looking for subtle cues here. I prefer not to wait until her feet move. She's still with me there. She's having a good think. Okay, so she reaches out here. I'm going to take off the pressure to keep her interest and have her wanting that interaction. So she leaned into me. I took away some more pressure. So I want her to feel acknowledged if I notice that she is not comfortable before her feet move. Because if her feet move, I'm going to move with her. I don't want to make this about teaching her to move away from me. If every time her feet moved, I took off pressure, she is going to think that moving away from me coming up to her is the right answer. So she's keeping a lot of curiosity here. Now I know some people would leave a horse with their halter on so that if you get this close you can jump and grab them, then you've caught your horse, and you will very quickly have a horse that's head shy. And even with horses that it tends to work with, it's going to cause problems down the line. So you see there, when I moved away, she let me touch her shoulder, I took off the pressure. I don't want it always to be, okay, I get this close, now I'm going to escalate to putting on a halter on. I want her to get a release when she does the right thing, which is stand there and take her rub. And just a rub at the shoulder can be a pleasant thing for her. So I'm going to build that going up to her and giving her affection as more regular than me putting on the halter on and doing stuff to her. As I mentioned at the beginning, that is the reason why a lot of horses are difficult to catch. People only go see them when they're doing something to them. Yeah, could be for health, absolutely. It's could be for their care, but it's still, they see it as having something done to them, or if you're going to ask them for something and train them to do something. So when a horse is unsure like this and difficult to catch, I spend a lot of time just going and doing something for them and then walking away. So yeah, there are things that aren't ideal about being out in the open. If other horses interfere, which you see will happen a little bit later in this video. But my thing with the round pen is I think too often it encourages people to put too much pressure. First of all, chasing a horse into a round pen, shutting it in, and then starting to work, you've already got a relatively high level of anxiety in there before you even start. And then from what I've seen, even from some of the people that I've learned from over the years, just their understanding and the imagination of how little pressure you can use, we've now seen that you can use a lot less pressure. I'm not chasing her around in circles here as I would as some people would do in a round pen, I am using as little pressure as possible and taking off pressure when I get that ear towards me, or in this case a nose towards me. In a round pen, people generally get them and chase them until they get a desired response, and yeah, I've seen it done poorly. I'm not criticizing the people that still use the technique. Done with good timing, it is still better than most of what I've seen in the past. But for me, I learned these skills before I had access to a round pen. When I was working with wild horses in the mountains, there was no ways getting in these wild little pursuit ponies into a round pen. There was a few times that I tried it where we separated them, got a team of guys running at them like hyenas, and pushed them into the round pen, pushed the others out and shut them off, and they would just go right through it. A wild horse, they would go straight through or duck under the poles of the round pen. This means I'm responsible for the amount of pressure I put on. Too much pressure, I lose her on 480 hectares. So it means I pay close attention to my body language, what I'm asking for. So she moves off there, and I just move with her and stop when she moves. But I'm not moving into her and increasing that pressure. That's another big mistake people make is, well, they're moving off, I must now increase the pressure, almost like a punishment mentality. We don't want to punish her for moving off. She's moving off because she's uncertain. That's feedback that I need to value and understand. She needs to be heard. So it's a nice engaging look there. I'll take off pressure. Always when I watch back on videos, when I'm working with the horse, I notice a few times that I miss the ball, well, miss the boat, because I'm thinking about a camera. So the reason we didn't use this footage here, well, the audio of this footage, is it's howling wind, but I am teaching my apprentice Erin at the same time, so that's why you see me talking randomly. Don't try and figure out what I'm saying. I'm teaching a student. So I want something that feels good, and then I need to take off pressure. I wasn't paying attention there where she kind of left with the ears. Luckily it turned out okay. You got to get it out before it goes bad. So I kind of did there, but I probably went a little bit longer than I should have. So I'm looking for stress indicators as to when I take off pressure. And the stress indicators are things like wrinkles around the lower eyelid, a tight muzzle, tight lips, head up in the air. Those are all signs that a horse is anxious. Pinned ears as well, but I'm very cautious of telling people to pay attention to pinned ears, because people will see a horse's ears back listening to something behind them and take that to mean that a horse is stressed, when it's really just paying attention to their surroundings. The ears aren't just an expression for horses, they're also tools to listen. So yeah, she can move off, and she can move off pretty far. And yeah, you see the involvement of other horses as well. That adds to the equation a little. I'm running off as a herd. I don't get frustrated, it's not her fault. And I'm trying not to be too straight line here. I'm not going for the getting the hole to run and be done with it. I'm working on getting her tame and to trust me and to enjoy being with me. So there she stopped, and I'm probably about 5 or 6 meters away from her, but I had to take off the pressure there because she'd been moving up until that point. She needs to get the release of the pressure as the reward to teach her what the right thing to do is. So these little walks up and touches to the shoulder. Since this video, that is what I've been doing the most of with her. I'll walk up, give her a scratch to the shoulder, and walk away. And every second or third day, I'll put a halter on her, give her a forelock massage, which makes him release dopamine and oxytocin, and let her go. Her hooves are in a terrible state. She has not had fly spray, but I can't put those things above her long-term well-being and manageability. So she's moving over massive areas. I will get to her hooves. That'll be probably the second or third video in the series of teaching her to get her hooves handled. But I'm not just going to force her into a corner and do what everyone else has done to her, because I'm never going to get through this. So I'm going to get her tame before I get to introducing the management things that we need to do to her, but also for her. So she's very tense there. If anything, I think I went in a little too quick there. And there's the result of going in too quick. Also, again, the motivation from another horse running around. And off we go again. We walk and we start over. So if you've got a horse that struggles with you walking up to and haltering them, don't try and squeeze in 15 minutes. Make sure you've got all the time in the world to stick with them until you get a positive. And a positive result does not mean getting a halter on. But if I had left at that point, her takeaway, her learning from that session would have been run away. If the human comes towards you, run away. So this video was split into 2 clips, but we'll just carry on. So again, when I'm starting over, I just get to as close as I can. With her standing, I need to stop. Again, I'm making sure I'm not putting pressure with my eyes or my body language. She's moving off, so I'll move with her. I'm not running at her or any kind of punishment. I'm just moving calmly along with her. She stops. I missed an opportunity to release over there. Okay, there she stopped. Eyes on me. I'll take off pressure. You are going to make mistakes in this. Don't get bent out of shape. I've pointed out a few times where I've made mistakes here because I'm busy teaching at the same time. I found that if you get frustrated with yourself even for making mistakes, it makes it a lot more difficult to seem peaceful to a horse. A lot of this is about the energy we're portraying here. There's no sense of urgency for me here. I really hope she lets me come give her affection, but it's not the end of the world if she doesn't. And there we're getting photobombed by the other horses. They're trying to get into the camera. So the format of this is obviously going to be different to what the series is. I normally have a mic and recorder on me to do the audio for these videos. There's a few moments where I might have to do talkovers. What normally happens is if I'm mounting and the mic gets dislodged or something, then I'll stop and do a talkover. the one aspect, if I'm climbing on a horse for the first time, I don't want a whole bunch of recording equipment with me. And there it just relies on the camera equipment, and often if I'm behind the horse you won't hear clearly, and there I will go back and talk over anything that I've viewed as critical. Rear just wants to show off how much weight he's put on. Those of you that followed when he first came to us and he couldn't be caught, he's now quite keen to help out. Very blessed for the setting that we get to live in, not to mention how happy the horses are. This is heaven for horses out here. Now, see, there's a little bit of a defensiveness coming there, and some people might say, you know, you've got to match it. I do not want to punish. See there, that defensiveness that's coming there. I don't take off pressure from it, but I also don't respond with getting aggressive back. She is worried. She's not sitting out to harm me. So I just try and calm her, make sure she knows that she's been seen. So I'm going to, as soon as I can, take off pressure here. And there we see a little bit, she's very worried about her head being touched. So we'll talk a little bit about head shyness over the series as well. So she's okay with me on her shoulder, not so happy about the chest, definitely not happy about the ears. Okay, I need an opportunity here to walk away, take off pressure. Okay, so yeah, she makes it very clear that she is worried, and she leaves. So there's me missing a clear cue that she wasn't happy. I should have taken it back a few steps. But she moved off, so I had to move with her. I wanted to feel that she is being acknowledged, but at the same time I can't reward behavior that will teach her to run away from us the whole time. So I'm taking it back a few steps here. I'll give it a little bit longer dwell time. If I remember correctly, that's what I did at this moment. Now, if that was a full aggressive intent, yes, I would defend myself. But I did see nothing there. That was just, I am worried. And that is a curiosity that comes from this, is she's engaging with me. The first couple of times she wanted nothing to do with me. In fact, the first few days, this horse wanted nothing to do with humans when we let her go on 480 hectares. Yeah. Yes, the other aspect of it is horses learn by observation, and I have had my horses do me a huge favor of her watching them come to me for affection. Beautiful, nice release there, the yawn. Lick and chew. Let's talk about that for a minute. When people talk about calming signals or stress indicators, yes, a lick and chew does indicate the horse has been under pressure. I've tried really hard to keep the pressure low, but any amount of pressure results in them shifting at least partially into what's called the sympathetic nervous system, known as flight mode. So she had already started shifting into that worried flight mode, and when that happens, the salivary glands stop working. So yes, that is a stress indicator that she has been under stress. The reality is, when horses face new stimuli, they will shift partially, and you'll often get a lick and chew. So there's this partial understanding of the science that says, oh, if your horse licks and chews, you're putting too much pressure on them. The reality is you're putting some pressure on them, and we always want to put as little as possible, but any new stimulus will have them shift a little, and you will get a lick and chew when they get release. The reality is that is how they learn. Okay, yeah, I'm making sure I'm not hiding the halter. I don't keep the halter and rope behind my back and wait till I'm really close and jump and get that halter and rope on. Letting her have a good look. She made it very clear to me last time that rope and halter came out that she wasn't happy and left. So this time I'm making sure she's had a look at it. So she's thought about leaving there. That's the engagement I'm looking at. I want her to have a look at the halter. She backs off. Now, as I go, I'm going to be a little bit less tiptoeing about this, but I'm also trying not to overwhelm her. It's not so much stopping her feeling any pressure, but it is about stopping her hitting threshold. Once they hit threshold, they stop thinking, and anything you do after they hit threshold, well, while they over threshold, they don't learn. So I don't rush on now. I've got the halter on. Just going to check out where she's comfortable. So there is a spot that she gets bothered by. So I was going for the forelock massage, and that's not comfortable for her. So I have to change my approach here to get the forelock massage. I just pulled back a little bit further down her mane. So even that forelock massage can be like just getting the hooves done or getting the spray done. Even though it's for them to feel good, you've got to make sure you're not pushing on threshold. So I've come from the front here, and she seemed happier about that. So doing the forelock massage from the front rather than at the ears. I will not avoid the ears. Just I have to have a starting point where she's happy. And then I will get to the point that I can work on her ears. I need her trust before I can work on the things that really worry her. Remember, this forelock massage, it takes at least 60 seconds to have a chemical effect on them. Now, chemical effect is, or neurochemical effect, is dopamine and oxytocin get released. The reason that happens is when they are babies and they drink from their mom, the forehead rubs on mom's belly, and that makes them get a shot of dopamine, oxytocin. Dopamine causes relaxation, oxytocin causes bonding. Those two things are great tools to build a relationship with a horse. I've had people think that that's the only takeaway that they take from watching a clinic or a demonstration. But if your horse is not fairly relaxed, you're not going to have any impact by trying to give a forelock massage. especially when they're running around and flipping their heads all in the air. Okay, so that, after all that, that is all I asked for her. I didn't lead her. I didn't start introducing my communication. And now for a week, all I'm going to do is every second day put a halter on, and every day go and give her a rub at the shoulder. Really not ask a lot from her, and I'll make sure I walk away from her.